Well, here we are at the 2022 Jackson County Fair, Oliver being the feature tractor. So let's walk around and take a look at some of these. Starting here with my 770 and the power traction hitch plow. And we've got our banner for our chapter that we're trying to form of the HPOCA. So I tried to print off some signs and literature and things to hang next to the equipment. So you've seen the tractor before, you've seen the plow, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on my stuff, I suppose. 1550 356 sickle bar mower, and the 88. Basically, while I was moving stuff here, I tried to bring things that weren't already here. So if there wasn't a model that I had, then I brought it, and that way hopefully the show isn't just full of the same thing. So 88 made it. 55 series, 1655, the 1755, 1855, and then the two that I was working on in those videos, 1955 and the 2255. So whenever Crazy Dave sends me his 1555, then I'll be able to fill out the whole line, you see. Then down here we have a 1827. I almost bought that tractor several years ago and then didn't, but it's still around here, so that's good. A 60 and a 70. Over here we have two tractors owned by a guy from just a little bit south of here. He's in our club, and we have a 660, and he's put a canopy on it, which is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a canopy on the tractor of this size, and I'm not sure what the story is on this. I would assume that it's been repainted at some point in its career, but if not, it's pretty good paint. But I'll have to ask him about that. I would almost bet that it's been repainted at this point, but who knows. That's kind of a good idea too, the grab handle on the battery box bolts. 660, we'll move on. This is quite the horse. An 1855 on 42-inch rubber with a Cummins conversion. He took the 310 out, and he told me about this many years ago. He was doing this, and then he put it on 42-inch rubber. It was down at the National Oliver Show in Madison whenever that was several years back, so maybe you've seen it before. It was there. And this is a pretty good Cummins conversion where you have to look twice to realize what's been done if you don't know, you know. So it's not a hack job where some of them, like, they cut the sheet metal all up and whatnot, but he said it scoots down the road, and with the Cummins it's like a wild animal, so I'm sure it's interesting to drive. Here we have the HART-PARR 70, which was in that video I worked on before the fair. It made it here. We probably should have put the rear steel back on it, just because that would be interesting on rear steel, but ran out of time. So HART-PARR 70 and the Super 88, which I was working on in that same video. It made it here. They drove it in, so apparently whatever I did worked. So I think it still needs a little bit of attention. It just sits a lot, so probably need to clean the fuel system out. They were having some issues with it running, but it did run here pretty decent, and it was charging the battery, so like I said, the wiring worked. So we'll look at that after the fair. Super 55. This is a local tractor, and it sold on an auction a couple years ago when the old man died and the son-in-law bought it, so it stayed in the family. This has actually got the they had trouble with the hydraulic units, and they offered things to try to fix the problem, and one of them was this extended spout to try to raise the level of the hydraulic oil. So that's interesting, but the filter's still on the side like the early ones, so it was a conversion like that to try to make it better. Here we have a 60 with a piece of a tree growing in it. I haven't found out the story on that quite yet, but that's kind of interesting. I'm not really sure where this tractor came from. I think a guy brought it up here from more down south, so I'll have to find out. And then another Super 55, which is owned by a guy locally. This one is a later one. You can see they've moved the hydraulic filter into the front. And then also this one has the external valve on it. So, Super 55, pretty straight tractor. Also later because it has the flap that folds forward instead of side to side. I shouldn't have done that. There we go. You know, early ones like mine, the gas tank was hidden and it flapped one way or the other. Later on they put them through the hood, eliminated the flap. Over here we have a, I believe, 1224 HART-PARR. This line is from my neighbor, so local tractors. Couple lawn and garden. A 75, the smallest one they made, and it looks to be original in places, like they saved the decals maybe. And a 105, and it's original, still has the tag on it, that's good. $18.36. And the Super 44, which is one that I would like to get. I think they're just so ugly, they're cute. I mean, look at that. And his boys own a welding shop, and they even made him a little miniature step to get on. So, Super 44, it's got hydraulics and PTO 3-point hitch. So it's loaded. They didn't all have that. Here's the Orchard 70. It was out at that show video in the spring, and it was here last year at the fair. Industrial 70. Something you don't often see. I think if I remember right, he had this shipped in here in a, like a, what do you call it? One of those deals where you let them bid on shipping it, the U-ship thing, and it got all beat up. It was in neutral in the trailer, and it was rolling back and forth and beat the front end up and the back end. But I think that was this one. It might be, he might have a 60, and it might have been that one. But either way, something you don't often see around here, industrial. Row crop 70. And we have the 77 Orchard that he just recently got. It was in that show video too. And a 77 Standard. And a row row crop 77 single front wheel. That came from an almond auction not too long ago. A old style 88 standard. Not too many of those around. A 660. And an 880 diesel. He's had this for a while. It runs really good. It has the power traction hitch on it. At least part of it, it looks like. I haven't really looked at it that close, but here we have a 1600.
Yes, it is large.
And a 950 diesel, which was the 6-cylinder version. Seems like you see more GM diesels than 6 cylinders. Finally, a Cockshutt 1650 Wheatland. Another tractor that you don't hardly see down here. A, because of Cockshutt, and B, because of Wheatland in this area. So, a pretty good turnout of Oliver's equipment. Now let's go look at some of the others. Oh, sadness. He lost a tent, and I feel his pain because I lost a tent yesterday. Same reason. Water piling up in it weighs it down, and so seems like every year you lose a tent. This is another neighbor. He collects Alice Chalmers. We have a pair of WD-45s, gas and diesel, both wide front. Diesel you don't see very often. And then we have another WD-45, which is a local tractor, bought and always been around in this area. One of the first tractors around this area that was in tractor pulls back in the day. So it was fixed up by a friend of mine, and then he ended up selling it back to the original owner's son. So that's nice. It's back in the family. Magna-Track. Cute little thing that you hardly ever see. And the Imco Power Horse. You saw that on the, I think you saw several of these on the show video.
This looks really nice.
Some county 4-wheel drive tractors. Somebody was amazed that there were several of these around this area, but these guys are into this. Ford collecting and these county tractors. Here we have the customary selection of Fords. These were in the show video. The Farmall H with a wood saw, driven by the PTO. Safety all over this rig. Some Massey Harris tractors. And another one. The first Oliver dealer that we had in the county also sold Massey Harris. So there were several of these around. Here's the little neighbor boy's John Deere 60. He's proud as can be of this, so I see him popping around on it every so often. We got a BF Moline and a CA I don't know what the story is on the high crop, if that's a homemade invention or something that they offered. Have to leave that in the comments. I'm not up on that. But it is a CA because it has the hand clutch. So here we have a Formal C, painted up very nicely. And a styled WC. And an unstyled WC, the open front. And here's the front of that H with the saw on it. Here we have another Massey Harris with a fresh paint job. Another tractor that just found its way back into the original family. And a Silver King, which is something you don't hardly see very often. Tag is pretty beat up, but oh, it's Ohio, Plymouth, Ohio. I remember that now. Yeah, because they originally were named the Plymouth Tractor, and then they got in trouble with the automaker, I think, and had to change it, so they changed it to Silver King. Here we have a 404, which is unusual, I suppose. And a Super MTA. Okay, jump back here, we have some Fergusons. And more Fords. And B John Deere that I think has been at every fair here since I was a kid. We have a Cockshut 550 and a Cockshut 20, which the guy just bought last week. It's never been anywhere but here. I don't think he even took it home yet, hardly. So first place it's been. VAC case. And a Farmall H. We'll jump back here. Some tractors owned by my cousins that combine for me with the John Deere combine. A 520 with a loader. That tractor is basically a time capsule. It was owned by a farmer, and he did himself in years ago, and then everything just sat in the barn untouched until they had the auction a few years ago. So the tractor is all original. Here we have a 720 gas. My 70 diesel with a pony motor. This tractor was saved from the scrapyard, so that's kind of neat. I always thought the pony motors were neat. Troublesome at times, but interesting. And his little MT. And here we have a Gibson. Oh. 2510. An R Moline. '44 Massey Harris. '4020 Deere. A 1256 that is now back in the hands of the guy who bought it new. He tracked it down. There's a picture I see in 1968. So pretty neat. He found duals. He was looking for duals, so he put it back just like it was in the picture. We have a Farmall 300. And an 806. So here in a bit, if the weather doesn't turn worse, we will take a look at some of the gas engines while they're up and running. Another tractor inside the buildings, a 60 Standard. Here we have the Toy Tractor Museum again, and this guy told me that if he wasn't here to open it up for him, so we can do that. I think we pretty well covered this in that show video, but I don't know, the lighting may be better in here now. If you can appreciate the amount of stuff that he has gathered here. I mean, just about every brand is well represented. And I like the little custom things, like the little hay loader and threshing machine and everything he's got there. I guess I'll hold you over top so you can see, but we pretty well covered this in the other video, but still impressive to look at. All the different tractors and implements of all the different brands. And still a little bit of room for more, I think. So, pretty neat. Well, we'll go around and look at some engines, starting with mine, I guess. Got the Fairbanks, Canadian Fairbanks. That's a throttle governed engine, so it hits every time. We've got our new to me Fuller & Johnson farm pump engine, which I made a video about getting that going the first time. Got our Hercules hooked to the grinder, which I painted over the winter. And this one's the one we put that gasket on in the video. I had it running and it ran out of gas, so it does run good. It was in that one short video, so you'll have to check that out. We'll watch this guy start this. We like seeing people doing work.
Oh yeah. Time to start.
Well, if it shut off running, there's a good chance it'll start today. There we go. That gets easier as you get older, don't it?
You know, I'll be 80 in February.
Uh-huh.
So will.
There we go. Oh, did you? Good deal.
Yeah, I done it this morning.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. You get one 6 times a year, so.
Yeah, I told Larry it's worth it.
Yeah, you get a lot of information too, so.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad.
Waterloo boy. What is that, about a 8 horse? Go. Making some cord.
From a fishing line factory, you took the main that we had about 200 of these.
Lined up in a
Common belt, yeah. It's thread and made it silk.
pretty neat. It's a bigger Detroit. Well, figured I better put you in the video too. You got it all cut up or covered up. We'll see if you make it look as easy as Cooney did.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, we've got a little issue and I ain't figured it out yet, and I got a bad wrist, so I don't know if I'm turning it on. I'm gonna try.
It was running good the other night.
Well, it wasn't all something to quit. Got a fire though.
Wow. Almost. Time to rest, yeah. I get it. Well, as always, if If you enjoy the videos, give them a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss whatever comes next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.